What if the strange delays you're feeling aren't mistakes, but messages? Between July 18 and August 12th, Mercury Retrograde is pulling the veil back, and what's behind it is not what we expected. According to the Andromedan Council and a transmission received by Akiron, this cosmic event is like a slow spiritual earthquake. It doesn't shout, it stirs. It shakes loose the lies we've built around us, gently, until they collapse. Memories, truths, and energies buried for lifetimes may return. This isn't a test, it's an awakening. And as the stars shift, so does the mirror that shows us who we are. Why this retrograde is nothing like the last. People often think Mercury retrograde just means broken electronics and misunderstandings. But this time, it's far deeper than that. It's not just your phone freezing or travel plans shifting. There's a pressure building in the unseen, something thick, heavy, almost emotional in the air. It's like your soul is waiting behind a closed door, gently knocking, asking if you're ready. But ready for what? That's the mystery. This energy feels like it's opening drawers you never dared to open before. And when it opens them, the contents spill, not in chaos, but in perfect timing. Have you noticed old memories surfacing lately? Not just memories of people, but feelings. A strange sadness in the morning, or a forgotten face in your dream. Those aren't random, they're echoes. Echoes rising because the timeline is bending in ways it never has. Past loops are being broken, energetic cords untied. What once clung to your spirit like dust is being cleared. But the sweeping doesn't always look pretty. In these coming weeks, things may feel slow, stuck, even frustrating. But the cosmic rhythm underneath is precise. This retrograde isn't stopping you. It's asking you to look. Look at what still hides. Look at the voice you've silenced. Look at the choices you keep postponing. Every delay has a design now. Every pause is actually an invitation. It's as if time itself is saying, wait, before you go further, see this. Most won't notice, but you'll feel it, right behind the silence. Now here's where it gets strange. Timelines are responding differently this time. You might feel like two versions of you are walking side by side. One still stuck in the old, the other pulling ahead into something freer. The friction between those two is what many are calling confusion, but it's not confusion, it's choice. Choice is never loud, it's quiet, and often disguised as discomfort. And that, my friend, is what makes this Mercury retrograde unlike any before. Akiron's message: the hidden is becoming visible. There's something stirring beneath the surface of daily life now. And it isn't just emotional waves or global news flashes. It's like a whisper from the soul, one you can't quite catch with the ears, but you feel it like a soft throb behind your chest. Akiron from the Andromedan Council called it the unveiling. Not some dramatic apocalyptic reveal, but a peeling away of layers. Layers you didn't even know you wore. Have you noticed it too? The unease? The sudden knowing? Or how easily someone's mask slips off now? What once felt buried, secrets, truths, regrets, they're not staying quiet anymore. It's not just about exposing lies from others, but also those quiet lies we've told ourselves to survive. We pretend to be fine. We smile when something inside us wants to scream. But this energy, this Mercury retrograde, has a peculiar hunger for authenticity. It's hunting down every place where we've settled for almost true instead of real. Isn't that unsettling and freeing all at once? Some folks say it's Mercury causing confusion, making things foggy. But Akiron said it's not confusion. It's clarity that hasn't found language yet. Imagine that. You feel it before you know how to say it. And that's exactly what's happening now. Your spirit is understanding what your mind hasn't caught up with. You're not going backward. You're circling inward, like a spiral, touching parts of you long asleep. They're waking up, aren't they? And here's something strange. The most quiet people, the ones who always stayed in the background, they're starting to shine with truth. While those who shouted the loudest, you'll notice their voices start to break. The reversal has begun. The loud will tremble, the hidden will rise. And somewhere in between, you'll feel yourself blinking into a new light you didn't know you were ready for. Expect ghosts from the past, and not just people. Now, this heading might sound like a cliché, but it isn't what you think. The ghosts returning during this Mercury retrograde aren't always people knocking on your phone screen. Some ghosts wear memories. Some return as feelings you thought were gone. An old fear, a smell that reminds you of childhood, a dream you haven't dreamt in years. They're not here to haunt. They're here to ask something quietly. Are you done carrying me? There's something deeply spiritual about how the past taps our shoulders. And sometimes it doesn't want closure. It wants witness. You might find yourself crying out of nowhere, or longing for something that doesn't even exist anymore. It can feel strange, but these are layers of you that time forgot, and they're drifting back now, not to stay, but to be honored. Have you felt that heaviness that has no name? That's one of them. It's not just emotions either. Whole cycles are reappearing. Financial habits, health symptoms, relationship patterns. It's like the timeline is recycling certain echoes, and you're being shown, not punished, just shown, what you're still repeating. But here's where it turns divine. You have a rare chance to respond differently this time. To hold the ghost in your hand and gently say, "You don't belong in my future." The most surprising thing, some of these ghosts will come dressed as blessings. That's the tricky part. An old friend who once betrayed you suddenly reconnects. An opportunity that once harmed you knocks again. Can you see through the illusion? This retrograde tests that. Not to trick you, but to help you finally choose from your soul, not your wounds. The timeline split is being amplified by Mercury. There's been talk of timeline shifts for years, but this time, something different is happening. Mercury isn't just stirring up emotions or missed calls. It's widening the space between people who are choosing fear and those choosing awareness. It's becoming visible now. One person walks away from gossip, another clings to it. One forgives and sleeps peacefully, the other spirals. And the split, it's not above our heads. It's right in our daily choices. Have you noticed how two people can live in the same house, but not in the same emotional reality? One wakes up with gratitude, the other with dread. That's not mood. That's timeline separation. It's not about location or wealth. It's about vibration. And this Mercury retrograde is like a cosmic magnifying glass, showing you which reality you're feeding with your attention. Are you noticing which world you've been slipping into? But here's the secret most forget. You can jump timelines, not by force, but by frequency. Every time you speak with kindness when it's hardest, you leap. Every moment you choose presence over panic, you shift. It's not flashy, it's quiet, like changing the current in a stream. This split isn't to divide people, it's to help souls gather with their right tribe. Can you feel that pull and the final ripple? You may find relationships fading, not from anger, but natural vibrational mismatch. That's okay. That's the split doing its job. You're not meant to carry everyone forward, just the truth. And your light, that's more than enough. July 22nd to 28th, the week everything shifts. Mark it quietly on your soul. This week holds strange gravity. Akiron whispered this timing not as a warning, but as a window. July 22nd to 28 isn't just another week, it's a portal, a bend in the storyline where deep shifts ripple across human consciousness. And it won't always look like magic. Sometimes it'll look like breakdowns, cancellations, emotional eruptions. But don't rush to fix them. Sometimes the mess is the message. There may be wild dreams that feel more real than daylight, or sudden waves of exhaustion, not from your body, but your aura. Your energy field will be reshaping itself. And in those quiet hours when the phone is silent and the house feels too still, that's when the timeline speaks. That's when your role as a light worker becomes more than an idea. It becomes a presence. Have you been sensing it coming near? In global news, truths may slip through cracks, events that expose deeper systems, but they'll be buried fast. Distractions will increase. That's how you'll know it's real. The more they distract, the more powerful the truth beneath. Trust your instincts that week, and trust what no one else sees yet. You were never meant to follow the noise. By the time this week ends, something will have shifted in you. Maybe small, maybe huge, but something irreversible. It might not have a name yet, but one night, maybe when brushing your teeth or staring out the window, you'll whisper to yourself, "I'm not who I was a week ago," and you'll be right. Why technology will fail in just the right moments. Ever noticed how tech glitches at the worst, or perhaps the most perfect moments? During this Mercury retrograde, it won't be random, it'll be precise. Devices freezing during emotional conversations, emails not sending until you pause and rethink your words, alarms failing so you miss something, and yet find something else. Mercury isn't punishing, it's positioning, and tech is being used as a spiritual gatekeeper. These failures will feel annoying, yes, but underneath, there's orchestration, a divine pattern, like being stopped at a red light you didn't want, only to avoid an unseen storm ahead, or getting cut off from the digital world just long enough to hear your inner voice whisper something life-changing. You'll find sacred pauses wrapped in inconveniences. What's truly stunning is how these moments will reroute your day, and that rerouting will reroute your energy. One missed call may lead to an avoided mistake. One unplugged hour may open a window of clarity. The patterns will be subtle, and yet they'll carry fingerprints of higher intelligence. Watch closely. The divine works in strange wires. Next time your screen goes black or your GPS fails, instead of panicking, just breathe. There may be a message waiting in the silence. Maybe not words, maybe just presence. And in that quiet gap, you might find the truest guidance of all, truth bombs in relationships. What's been unspoken will erupt. There's a silence inside relationships that isn't peaceful. It's the kind that hides things under smiles. You know the kind where you both act like things are fine, but the room feels heavier every day. During this Mercury retrograde, that silence, it's cracking open. People will say what they've been swallowing for years, and some of those truths won't land gently. This isn't to break love, it's to rebuild it with truth. The universe isn't asking for perfection, it's asking for honesty. A woman may finally admit she's felt unseen. A man might confess he's felt tired, not of love, but of pretending. These aren't small truths, they're heart-changing ones. Are you ready to hear and be heard? It won't always come with grace. Words may stumble out sharp, misunderstood, or tangled in pain. But the ones who sit through that fire, not walk away from it, will find something real on the other side. This retrograde isn't about losing people. It's about dropping the masks between people. That's scarier than it sounds, but it's where real intimacy lives. And sometimes the eruption is quiet. A long stare, a sigh, a shift in the way someone says your name. Watch closely. Feel what isn't being said, because in that space, love either grows up or it walks away. The real reason. You're remembering things you buried. Memory is a funny thing. It doesn't follow time. It follows emotion. And now, memories are surfacing from decades ago. Not to haunt, but to show you something unfinished. A smell, a song, a place. Suddenly you're there again. That younger version of you is standing at the edge of your awareness, asking to be seen. This retrograde pulls memory like a tide, but it doesn't bring it all at once. It trickles in. A photo you didn't expect to find. A random comment that opens a door you'd closed. Why now? Because you're finally strong enough to hold what once broke you. That alone is worth pausing for. What you buried, it wasn't weakness, it was survival. You did what you had to do to move forward. But Mercury, in this phase, opens the old boxes not to hurt you, but to free you from carrying their weight unconsciously. And the moment you let one of those hidden memories breathe, you take your power back from it. Healing doesn't always look like crying on a couch. Sometimes it looks like walking into a memory, shaking hands with it, and walking out different. And maybe that's what this chapter is about. Becoming whole by remembering the pieces you forgot were still yours. Mercury's mirror. Are you finally seeing your own patterns? There's a mirror this retrograde holds up, and it's not made of glass. It's made of moments, repeated reactions, conversations you've had again and again, choices that feel familiar. And suddenly you ask, why do I always end up here? That's the mirror, not to judge, but to reflect. Have you seen your own loops? You might notice the same argument with a different person, or the same kind of job frustration that shows up every few years. Patterns aren't punishment, they're puzzles. And Mercury's energy is like a flashlight that says, look here, you've done this before. Not to shame, but to invite something new, something different. Patterns protect us until they start limiting us. Maybe you shut down when you're overwhelmed, or chase people when you're afraid of losing them. We all have them. But now, under this cosmic mirror, the invitation is simple. Watch yourself without flinching, because awareness is what cracks the loop, and that crack is how light gets in. Sometimes, the bravest thing isn't breaking a pattern, it's finally seeing it. And in that moment of recognition, that tiny pause, the entire future can shift. The global stage is set for revelations. There's something brewing beyond personal stories, something bigger. The world itself feels like a stage where the curtains are about to rise. And the script? It's being rewritten. Mercury retrograde isn't just shifting our homes and hearts. It's shifting nations, systems, the very way truth flows in the collective. Feel it? Watch closely. Sudden leaks, quiet resignations, moments where the camera catches what wasn't meant to be seen. The truth won't come from where we expect it, and that's the point. As Akiron once said, revelation comes not to destroy, but to reveal what was already falling. It's been falling a long time. Now, it's just visible, but there's more. The revelations aren't just about corruption or politics, they're spiritual. We're beginning to see how disconnected the world became, and how starved the human soul is for something more. Meaning, connection, purpose. The systems will tremble, not because of chaos, but because they've outlived the lie they were built on. And when a lie ends, there's an odd silence, like the air waiting to exhale. That's where we are now, And the ones who learn to breathe in that silence will build what comes next. Akiron says, some secrets are meant to set you free. We often think of secrets as things we hide, but what if some secrets were hidden from us? Not out of deceit, but divine timing. Akiron gently spoke of this in a message. There are truths buried in your soul that will only awaken when you are ready to rise with them. And now, that time has come. These aren't secrets like scandals. These are soul truths. Who you truly are, what your real mission is, why you were born into this family, this era, this exact skin. That kind of knowing doesn't come from reading. It comes from remembering, like a flame catching an old wick that's waited years to light. The retrograde now acts like a key, turning softly in that locked part of you. And when the memory surfaces, it might come as a dream, a stranger's words, or a sudden quiet certainty in your chest. It doesn't need proof, because when you know, you just know, and the knowing changes you. Truth isn't always loud. Sometimes it walks in barefoot, carrying freedom in its hands. Let it in, even if it rearranges everything. As we open more layers in this video, we'll step into parts of the cosmic blueprint that are rarely spoken aloud. What if your dreams are maps to forgotten lives? What if numbers aren't numbers, but messages? And why are some people waking up in peace, while others are crumbling in panic? What's really leaking through from your past lives, and why now? Ahead, we'll explore the most mysterious phase of this retrograde, one that might just reveal who you've always been underneath all the forgetting. Watch for the numbers. Synchronicities will spike. It starts small. Maybe you glance at the clock and see 11:11, then again 2:22, and then the number 444 shows up on a receipt, on a license plate, on the side of a building. Coincidence? No, not this time. During this retrograde, synchronicities aren't random. They're messages, and they're not coming to you. They're coming through you. Each number is a signal, not to be decoded like a puzzle, but to be felt. Some numbers wake the heart. Some shake the past. You might not understand them in your mind, but your spirit, it recognizes the pattern. That's the key. Synchronicity isn't about logic. It's about remembering you're part of something larger, something intelligent and alive. And here's the wild part. These numbers often arrive when you're about to make a choice, a small one even, like whether to speak or stay silent, whether to turn left or right. And somehow, the number acts like a whisper, a gentle nudge. This way. You won't hear it in words. You'll feel it in the spine. Think of numbers as breadcrumbs left by your higher self, from a path you once walked in another life. They're not trying to guide you to somewhere new. They're guiding you back to where your soul already meant to go. Why some will awaken fast, and others will panic. You might be seeing it already. Some people are suddenly full of light, clarity, peace, like they've been waiting for this energy all their lives. And others, they're breaking down, panicking, lashing out, lost in confusion. Why such a sharp contrast? Because awakening doesn't come the same way to everyone. And Mercury's energy, it doesn't wait for readiness. Those who've been quietly preparing, clearing, grieving, listening, they rise, like seeds in spring. And those who've been numbing or denying or clinging to old identities, they shake, not because they're weak, but because the truth came too fast, too loud. Both responses are human. Both are part of the shift. This retrograde doesn't punish, it reveals. And what it reveals, each soul must meet in its own way. Some awaken softly, others are jolted by dreams, by breakdowns, by sudden knowing that turns their life upside down. But here's the soul twist. The panic is sometimes the first breath of freedom. Messy, trembling, real. Awakening isn't a prize. It's a path. And every step, even the ones on your knees, is still a step home. The past life. Data stream will begin to leak through. Have you been feeling déjà vu more often lately? Or meeting people who feel strangely familiar, like echoes from a place you can't name? That's not your imagination. During this retrograde, the veil between lifetimes grows thin, and the memories, they don't knock. They just begin to seep in, like light through old wood. You may dream of places you've never visited. You might suddenly feel grief that doesn't match your current life. These aren't random emotions, they're fragments, pieces of your soul's long journey, gently surfacing. Not to confuse you, but to integrate. Because the more you understand where you've been, the more clearly you can walk where you're going. Some people will even feel physical symptoms, sudden chills, weight in the chest, or tears without clear cause. That's your body remembering what the mind cannot yet translate. Past life memory isn't about spectacle, it's subtle. You'll recognize it not by the facts, but by the feeling, a knowing in the bones, a truth that hums under the skin. And maybe, just maybe, that strange fear you've carried your whole life, of water, of being alone, of speaking up. It wasn't born here. It was inherited from a life your soul hasn't fully left behind. This retrograde isn't chaos, it's cosmic timing. People love to blame Mercury Retrograde for everything going wrong. Cancelled flights, broken phones, fights with loved ones. But what if it's not chaos at all? What if it's precision? What if every delay, every glitch, every uncomfortable truth is perfectly timed to nudge you exactly where you need to be? See, the universe doesn't waste time. It bends it. Retrogrades don't block life. They redirect it. That call that didn't go through, maybe it saved you from repeating an old loop. That plan that fell apart. Perhaps it wasn't your plan to begin with. Mercury unweaves the timelines that were stitched from fear and sews new ones from alignment. You might feel like things are breaking, but look closer. They're rearranging. And the discomfort, that's just the friction of shedding timelines that no longer hold your soul. You're not off track. You're just finally getting on the real one. The one you couldn't see until everything else paused. And sometimes, divine timing looks exactly like bad luck, until you realize what it saved you from. You are not the same person you were before. July 18th. Look back. Just a little. 2 weeks ago. A month ago. Do you feel different? Not just emotionally, but spiritually. Like something shifted in the way you see everything. That's not your imagination. The energy between July 18th and now has rewired something inside you. Quietly, deeply, irreversibly. Your priorities may feel different. What used to upset you now feels small. You might feel called to change careers, let go of people, even alter your routine. And here's the magic. It's not coming from pressure. It's coming from truth, from clarity that doesn't shout. It just stands there, unmoving, waiting for you to align with it. This retrograde acted like a spiritual chiropractic adjustment. Not pleasant, but necessary. It cracked open the places where you were out of alignment with who you really are. And now, you might feel raw, open, but also strangely clear. Like a fog you didn't know you were living in has finally lifted. You didn't become someone new. You remembered who you were before the world told you who to be.